What if fear could become your greatest weapon? What if the very force that has paralyzed you for years, the fear of failure, rejection, and loss, could be transformed into the sharpest blade in your arsenal? What if fear, instead of being your prison, could be the fire that forges your power? This video is not here to soothe you. It is here to awaken the strategist within you, the version of you that understands life as it truly is. A battlefield of wills where only those who master their own emotions and the emotions of others truly rise. By the end of this video, you will not only understand fear, you will know how to command it. You will learn how to turn fear into a weapon that favors, protects, propels, and positions you above those who remain slaves to their anxieties. But be warned, every insight that follows is a piece of the same chain. Miss one, and the entire structure weakens. Watch until the very end, and you will leave with a new vision of life, one that is both brutal and liberating. You already know fear. You know its weight when opportunities appear, but you hesitate. You know its voice when you dream of something greater, but it whispers, "What if you fail?" You know its grip when people judge you, when life throws you into storms, when the future looks uncertain. Fear has always been the chain that holds you back. But Machiavelli saw something that most people never realize. Fear itself is not the enemy. Weakness in the face of fear is the enemy. Fear, if wielded properly, is not a chain, it is a weapon. As Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." This statement is not about cruelty. It is about understanding the mechanics of power. Fear commands respect. Fear sharpens instincts. Fear forces clarity where comfort dulls the mind. The question is, will you keep being ruled by fear, or will you learn to rule with it? Fear is raw energy. Think of it like a storm, a violent force that destroys or power a windmill that feeds entire cities. Most people are crushed under its weight. The rare few use its energy to move faster, think sharper, and act bolder. To weaponize fear, you must first study it. Observe it like a predator stalking prey. Ask yourself, what is this fear telling me? What opportunity lies behind this discomfort? Every time fear rises, it is a sign that you're on the edge of growth. Instead of retreating, step closer. Fear points directly to the door you must walk through if you want to rise. Practical steps to follow. When fear whispers, act immediately in small ways. Make the call. Speak the truth. Take the first step. Write down your worst-case scenario and realize it is almost always survivable. Turn fear into preparation. Study more, train harder, plan with precision. As Machiavelli noted, the lion cannot protect himself from traps and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. Fear will teach you when to be cunning and when to be bold. Say this now as your first affirmation. My fear is not my master, it is my weapon. To weaponize fear, you must understand its dual nature, the fear you feel and the fear you inspire. Controlled fear within yourself keeps you disciplined. It prevents recklessness, makes you study risks, and strengthens your resolve. Controlled fear in others commands respect, ensuring that no one mistakes your kindness for weakness. This does not mean being cruel. It means radiating a presence that says, "I cannot be taken lightly." In real life, this can mean setting firm boundaries with people who test your patience, speaking with clarity and confidence, even when uncertain, carrying yourself with calm intensity, not nervous chatter, following through on promises and consequences so others know your word has weight. Machiavelli observed men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. Love is fragile. Fear, when used wisely, is steady. The one who can balance both gains respect that lasts. Most people live shackled by what if, but they use it as an excuse for paralysis. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I lose? The Machiavellian mind flips this on its head. What if I succeed? What if fear is the very doorway to power? What if this risk, this leap, is the defining moment of my life? To weaponize fear, you must confront the darkest outcomes of your life head-on. Imagine them fully. See the loss, the humiliation, the failure. And once you accept that you can survive them, you become untouchable. Fear only rules those who refuse to look it in the eye. In practical terms, when preparing for a challenge, visualize the worst outcome and strategize around it. Accept that pain, failure, and discomfort are not the end, they are teachers. Remind yourself that no empire was ever built without risk. If these truths have struck a chord, if they have already started reshaping how you see fear, then you are not like the rest. Most people stop here. They return to comfort, to excuses. But not you. You are still here, listening, because you sense there is something greater within you, waiting to be awakened. Take a moment now to subscribe and like this video, not as a gesture of support, but as an act of self-respect. The next principles are sharper, darker, and more powerful, and they will teach you how to not only face fear, but to make others respect you because of the strength you've built from it. To turn fear into a weapon, you must not merely cope with it. You must systematize it. You must turn it into policy. Below are 7 Machiavellian laws, simple to understand, difficult to live, through which fear stops being your jailer and becomes your general. Each law is a chain link. Miss one, and the chain breaks. Learn them all, practice them all, and fear becomes a servant that obeys you. Before the first law, write this in the comments to bind yourself to the path. Fear is my signal, not my sentence. Type it. Seal it. Then proceed. Unseen fear rules you. Named fear serves you. Most people carry a fog of dread, vague, shapeless, omnipresent. They feel everything and understand nothing. The first Machiavellian act is to turn the fog into a map. Write down the exact fears that paralyze you. Rejection from a specific person, the loss of a job, the judgment of peers, the exposure of weakness, the uncertainty of launching something new. Detail the worst outcome. Then chart your countermoves. Machiavelli warned that men fail because they do not reckon beforehand on a storm. Fear, when weaponized, becomes an early weather report. It tells you what could destroy you, so you can preempt it. Follow these practical steps. 1. List the top 3 fears that stop action. 2. For each, write the worst-case scenario. Not imagine doom, plausible consequences. 3. List protections and responses, skills to learn, people to consult, savings to build, agreements to secure. 4. Act quickly in one small way against each fear within 24 hours. Say this now. I measure what frightens me and it shrinks. Say it, write it. Then attack the first item on your list today. A prince, Machiavelli noted, may build fortresses, but the best fortress is to be loved by the people. Yet he also observed that men are driven by 2 principal impulses, either by love or by fear. The synthesis: construct an interior fortress that no opinion can breach, and project an exterior signal that says you are not to be taken lightly. Inside: discipline, boundaries, self-command. Outside: clarity, consistency, consequences. Do not be cruel. Be unmistakable. Be the person whose word is law, beginning with the law you impose on yourself. When you fail your own standards, you grant others permission to do the same. Follow these practical steps. Write a personal code of conduct, what you will always do, what you will never tolerate. Communicate boundaries once, calmly, and enforce them without anger, but with certainty. Reward respect. Withdraw access when disrespected. Keep promises to yourself first, or no promise to others will carry weight. Now say this to yourself. In self-belief, I am a fortress inside and a signal outside. Machiavelli taught that cruelty may be well used if applied swiftly, decisively, and for the sake of stability. This is not license for abuse. It is the understanding that leadership without consequences is theater. In your life, translate this as patience with honest mistakes, firmness with repeated disrespect, mercy for those learning, severity with those who knowingly exploit, kindness first, clarity second, finality last. A leader who hesitates to act when necessary ends up feared for the wrong reason, weakness. A leader who acts ruthlessly at random ends up hated. The balanced strategist acts with restraint, and when the moment demands it, with steel. Follow these steps. Set consequences in advance, for yourself and for others. Deliver them without rage or drama, only with consistency. Document patterns. Do not make severe decisions based on a single mood. Use firmness to end future conflicts, not to feed your ego. Machiavelli's most famous counsel: one must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. The weak are neither. The reckless are only lions. The conniving are only foxes. The dominant are both. This is how fear becomes a tool. As a fox, fear signals traps: political traps, emotional traps, financial traps, traps of loyalty and flattery. As a lion, fear in others prevents repeated offenses. You recognize deception, and you are not an easy target. Machiavelli observed, men judge more by the eye than by the hand. In other words, perception drives reaction. To weaponize fear is to control narratives, internally and externally. Internally, reframing fear as data, urgency, energy. Externally, communicating strength, not panic, initiative, not paralysis, responsibility, not victimhood. Those who rule their fear don't deny risk, they define it on their terms. They announce resilience before others announce their doubts. Practical steps to take: never publicly panic. Breathe, plan, move. When you fail, narrate the lesson and the next step. Do not explain the wound, explain the adaptation. In teams, families, businesses, clarify the risk early and show the structure for dealing with it. Frame obstacles as strategic puzzles, not personal tragedies. Say this now: I do not hide risk, I frame it and own it. Here the brutal truth deepens. Fear is often the mask your suppressed power wears. The Jungian shadow, the part of you that carries repressed anger, ambition, aggression, must be integrated, not denied, or it will sabotage you when you need strength. Weaponizing fear means reclaiming that part of you which can say no, refuse manipulation, walk away, confront, and endure. Machiavelli saw men as they are, not as they wish to appear. To become strong, you must see yourself the same way. Practical protocol: journal the situations where you stayed silent but wanted to speak. Role-play difficult conversations in advance to practice your decisive tone. Train physically, not for aesthetics, but to embody firmness and command over your body. Say one hard truth this week that you've avoided, calmly, strategically, without venom. Practical steps to take: I integrate what I fear in myself and I become whole. Nothing sharpens courage like mortality. Machiavelli knew that fortune punishes the timid and delays destroy power. Death awareness turns fear from an excuse into a deadline. Meditate on the fact that time is closing around you. This is not morbidity, it is clarity. Fear dissolved by mortality becomes urgency. Urgency becomes focus. Focus becomes dominance. Practical steps to take: end each day by asking, if life ended tonight, what truth did I avoid? Choose one bold act per week that aligns with your deepest ambition. Cut the tasks that preserve appearances and keep the tasks that move the mission. Treat every year like a campaign, with objectives, sacrifices, and victories. Say this now: time is my harshest general. I obey and I advance. Power without restraint is rot. Fear without wisdom is tyranny. Machiavelli wrote for rulers, but every human today is, in some measure, a ruler, over choices, families, missions, and teams. Weaponizing fear is not a license to manipulate the innocent or exploit the weak. It is the transformation of your own weakness into disciplined force and the orderly command of your world, so that chaos within you does not spill into cruelty outside you. Be feared where you must be respected. Be loved where you must be trusted. Hold your standard higher than the law. Live so that your severity serves justice, not vanity. Now ask yourself, and answer publicly to seal it: which fear, if mastered this month, would change the entire trajectory of your life? Type it in the comments. Name it. Declare the first action you will take against it within 24 hours. Do not vanish into silence. Declare war on the hesitation that has kept you average. If you stayed to the end, you are not made for comfort. You are built for command. Like this video and subscribe, not for entertainment, but because the next lesson will go deeper into the psychology of control, the architecture of power, and the exact ways to build a personal state, an inner republic that nothing can overthrow. The next video is waiting. It holds the blueprints for how to rule yourself so completely that no external force can dethrone you. Walk into it. Turn fear into your scout, your shield, your sword. Stand in the storm like a fortress of iron and flame. Affirm once more before you leave: fear is the servant, I am the sovereign.